So you've started the police hiring process. You've maybe completed one or two phases and you haven't heard anything back yet, and you don't know if you're moving forward. Let's discuss. Before we get started, I have two gifts for you. One is a getting started workshop for police officers. It's going to walk you through each stage of the hiring process. It's going to let you know what you're in for, and it's also going to help you so that when you do run into the situation of not knowing if you've moved forward, you should know when it's likely that they will contact you or what the next step will be. That's one. The other one is if you have something pertaining to your situation, more specifically, whether you're in the process or wanting to start the process, I have a free coaching call for you down below. Jump on, sign up for both of them. For either one, I'd be glad to help you any way I can, and you and I can discuss anything that's specific to you. Now, you've applied. Maybe you applied and you're waiting to hear back after the application, the initial application process, and you just haven't heard anything yet. Or maybe you've done the written exam and you haven't heard anything back yet. What do you do? What's the right way to move forward? There's a couple tricks here, right? And first of all, any correspondence that you get from the law enforcement department, say you submit this and they say, hey, you submitted your application, and they say, hey, we've received your application here. We'll be processing your application, and you keep reading down, and it's a no reply email. Excuse me. It's a no reply email. And at some point you get to the bottom and there's an email in there that says, please direct questions to this email. That is a free catch-all email where you can send questions regarding your hiring process. Now, the reason this is important is because if you haven't been signed a hiring official yet, which means someone that you can, maybe it's someone in the police department, maybe it's someone over at HR, whoever it is, that email is who you can direct every single correspondence to. So you're going to want to use that. Now, not all the time do you get sent an email where it says do not reply to this email, but most of the time it will come that way. If you can reply to your email, that's a shot in the dark. It's 50-50 chance if you'll get something back from there. But unless they tell you to reply to that email. But down at the bottom, you're almost always going to find any questions, please reply to this email, or please contact this office. And that's a free catch-all. That's the one where you want to send your questions to. So if you submitted your application, it's been 4 months. Or let's back up. It's been 4 weeks. You submitted your application. You haven't heard anything. There's no update if there's a website or anything along those lines. And you say, hey, I submitted an application on this date, to just start the email with good day. If you don't know who to direct it to, good day. I submitted an application to you all approximately 4 weeks ago on this date. And I'm just inquiring as to the status and moving forward. Thanks in advance. Very respectfully, Frank, right? Well, write your whole name, Frank McGaha, right? So they know who to look up. And that point, you should be pretty solid to go. Now, make sure you send it from the same email that you put on the application process so that they can make sure that the email matches. Because if you send it from a different email, it's not going to work. If you send it from your work email, but you applied with your personal email, it doesn't matter if you put your name on it. They're going to be like, we have no one under this email address that submitted an application. So keep that in mind. Now, you submitted it, and at this point, you have a couple options here. First option being sit tight, right? You want to give it at least a week to hear something back, at least a week. I know this hurry up and wait game is horrible. No one likes it. I'm with you on it. But once again, you never know who you're dealing with. You don't know if you're dealing with an actual department officer who still has to go out on patrol or still has other duties. And you don't know if you're dealing with an HR person that has to do all the hiring for that department or even that city or municipality. So keep that in mind, right? Give them at least a week. If you send it, I always recommend sending it on a Monday, right? Send it on a Monday. That way you have 5 business days to see a return. If you send it on a Friday in the morning or the evening, you're not going to get a reply back whatsoever. until the next week. And chances are it might get lost in the clutter of emails if they get a bunch of emails that Friday and then the next Monday morning and everything that just goes along with your email inbox just filling up. So send it on a Monday. Definitely send it on a Monday. Give it the entire week, 5 business days till Friday to hear something back. If you don't hear something back, you can always send a reply the following Monday. Say, hey, just following up with my previous email regarding my current process. And then that's it. If you don't hear anything back from them after 2 weeks of sending emails, I'm not telling you to forget that agency, but I am telling you to start looking and moving on, because maybe you didn't get selected. Maybe you didn't make it past the application process, or maybe you didn't make it past the written exam and they just don't want to tell you. I've found that most departments will reasonably respond back to you saying, we're still evaluating, you're still in the process, we're still waiting on results, or they might just come out and say, hey, thanks for reaching out. You are moving to the next process, and please schedule your physical exam, or please schedule your site visit for your board interview. That's great. That's what you want to happen, right? And that does happen. I mean, that happens somewhere between 30 to 50% of the time if they get to see those emails and you are moving forward with the process. So don't despair. But the other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to wear them down with emails, because you start looking desperate, which there's nothing wrong with desperately wanting to start your career in law enforcement, but you start looking desperate and then you get into the aspect of, hey, this person doesn't have patience, and patience is something you need in law enforcement, right? You're going to be dealing with people having the worst day of their life. You're going to need patience. So that's submitting your application and possibly even going through the written exam, right? If you started the written exam, hey, completed my written exam on this date, and don't send it that week. If you complete a written exam or you complete something, give it a couple weeks. And when I say a couple weeks, give it at least 1 full week. If it's a written exam, they should have the results back in a week, right? But if you did the written exam and the physical, and you're waiting for the board to interview, give it 2-3 weeks to kind of let them get through the process. Now, that works with the open email, right? Please direct all your questions to this email. What happens if you get to a hiring official? Okay, here's where you need to be a little careful. You need to have some time in between blowing up your hiring official or your background investigator. I like to say, unless it's an email correspondence where you guys are going back and forth, right? You need to submit them something, or they're asking you for something. That's fine. You just follow the path of what's normal on that, right? Answer the questions, get back to them as quickly as possible. As I always say, don't make them wait on you. Never make them wait on you. But say you're waiting on them and you're getting anxious. You haven't heard from them in a while. You submitted your background, and you're waiting to take. Maybe you submitted your background and you're waiting for your board interview, or maybe you submitted your background and you're waiting to see if you're going to move on to the poly or the psych or the medical exam. Once a month, right? Once a month, you can reach out to your hiring official. If you have a direct contact, if you're assigned a background investigator or a hiring official, once a month, you can reach out to them if they're not reaching out to you. If they're reaching out to you, all this goes out the window, right? Correspond with them as quickly as possible. But if you're just kind of getting antsy and you want to reach out and you're like, I need to know what's going on because I got things going on and I need to know if I'm moving forward in the process. I can't handle it. Once a month, right? Once a month, and then send an email once a month. If you don't get a reply, you can send another email after that week. Same thing, right? After that week, send it on a Monday. After that week, if you don't get a reply, send in one more email. That's it. One more email that following Monday. If you didn't get a reply during those 5 business days, maybe the individual's in training, maybe they're out of the office, maybe they're on vacation, right? Send one more email. Hey, just following up to make sure you received my email last week regarding my current situation, regarding where I am in the process, and a quick update. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Frank Magaha. That's the way that you want to approach those situations. Anything more than that to a direct person, you're going to wear them down, and they're just going to look at you and say, hey man, you need to pump the brakes. I'll get to you when I get to you. I'm dealing with 20, 30, 40 other candidates right now, or maybe even 100 other candidates as we narrow down this process to see who's going to go and fill these next 25 billets at the police academy. So if you're the one wearing them down, and they're human, they have biases, right? They're going to be like, man, this guy is just annoying. I'll get to him when I get to him, but you know what? He keeps annoying me, or she keeps annoying me, and he's not at the top of my list. They can email all they want. The more they email, the less I want to respond to them. So it's not the right way to be, but there are human errors out there, right? You cannot account for human error. So you can account for it, but you're not going to make the correct prediction. So keep that in mind, right? Once a month, when you have a direct line of contact to an individual, once a month, one follow email, another week after that, after you've given 5 business days after you've sent it, and you just wait. And if they're not getting back to you, you start making moves to go another way. And if they say, hey, we see that you applied to another department. Yeah, I didn't hear anything back from you guys. So, well, it takes time. It takes time. Yeah, I hear you. I appreciate it. I'm still going to stay in the process with you guys. But I'm also going to, because I don't want to withdraw from this process because it'll make me look bad, I'm going to continue with this process too. Get that scarcity mindset. You're a valuable asset, and you need to act like a valuable asset without coming off as cocky. And that's the way you need to go about it. So, hey, I'm going to make a good law enforcement officer. I know I'm going to make a good law enforcement officer. Yes, I need training, and yes, I need experience and growth and FTO. But at the same point in time, my whole goal is to provide a service to my community and be there for people who need me. So that makes me a valuable asset. Not everyone wants to be a cop these days. There's still a lot of people out there who wants to be a cop, but not everyone. So when you get a valuable asset, hold your head a little high. Don't be cocky. Don't be prideful, but hold your head a little high and say, hey, I hear you. I understand. You guys are my first choice. So if you guys make me an offer, I'm definitely coming here. But I just didn't know because there was a lack of correspondence, right? And you can say that professionally. So, all right. I hope this helps. You have those 2 gifts down below for you. The Getting Started workshop is going to walk you through every stage of the hiring process. Plus, there's some hidden bonuses in there, like practice written exams. That's going to test you and see where you're falling if you're in the start of your process, or even if you're not. What I've found a lot of time is people say, hey, I'm in the process with this one department and I'm halfway through it, and I passed the board interview, and they think they're golden, and you're not. You're not golden until you get that official offer. So you can flunk out on the poly, flunk out on the med, flunk out on the psych, or maybe even just the final offer might not get extended to you because they filled the academy that time around. Some other people got through the process before you. So don't think you're golden. So that written exam, practice. That way you can score better on the next one if you have to take another one. Anyway, train wreck there. I got off on a tangent. That's down below, the Getting Started workshop for you with the practice written exam and a few other bonuses. And then also the one-on-one coaching call with myself if you need to discuss something specific to you. If you're getting started in your process, if you're already in your process, or if you've had trouble going through a department already, I'm here. I'm willing to help you and do anything I can to guide you to your dream of becoming a police officer. As always, stay safe, and I will see you next time.